Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California on morning number 1,800. Consecutive days, no holidays, no weekends, no sick days. Even on sick days, I showed up and showed my face without makeup, of course. And today I almost showed my face without makeup to be on time, but I was still not on time. So therefore I said, well, since I'm late anyway, let's put on the makeup. Okay. Well, my purpose is to bring more virtue into the world. I do morsels of a thought every morning. I bring you wisdom. I bring you morsels of a thought. And what we do is we take that wisdom and we digest it. We swallow it. We let it go through our system and see what we think of what these other people are saying, because what they're saying is a very wise thing. I always bring you very, very thoughtful wisdom. I am simply reading to you what other people say and what they have experienced. Okay, so we're talking about Millennial Samurai today, Book 1, A Mindset for the 21st Century by George J. Chanos, former Nevada Attorney General. He's been through government. He has done lots of things in different places and influenced the laws everywhere, almost everywhere. Okay, chapter 103, Overcoming Fear. Anna Wintour, Wintour, journalist and editor of Vogue, says, it's very important to take risks. I think that research is very important, but in the end, you have to work from your instinct and feeling and take those risks and be fearless. Wow, it is very important. Okay. The Navy SEAL Special Warfare Command puts recruits through a special training program to change and condition the way their brains react to fear. The Navy understands that mistakes in the field normally result from fear and panic. Therefore, they have developed training exercises that are specifically designed to reduce or eliminate fear and panic. Our brain's amygdala, amygdala, our brain's amygdala is the command center for our emotions, including fear. The amygdala is the first region of the brain to react to fear. The prefrontal cortex is the brain's center for conscious, rational thought. It analyzes and reacts to fear impulses immediately after the amygdala does. Navy SEAL, SEAL, Navy SEAL training exposes recruits to constant and extreme high risk situations, conditioning their minds and bodies through this constant exposure to suppress and control their fears. Through repeated exposure to risk, recruits are taught to suppress and override the responses of the amygdala by using their prefrontal cortex to control their fears, allowing recruits to respond more calmly, more quickly, and more rationally. Navy SEALs are put in a 10-foot deep pool as part of Navy SEAL training. They are given a mask and oxygen tanks, weighed down with weights, and told to remain underwater for 45 minutes. Once at the bottom of the pool, two instructors begin to harass and wrestle with the recruit underwater. They rip away their mask and breathing apparatus. This continues for the full 45 minutes. During this period, the amygdala generates a fight or flight response, sending danger signals to the recruit's brain and telling them to get out of the water. To help recruits deal with these primal fears, the Navy's Mental Toughness Program, NMTP, contains 4 parts. Part 1, goal setting. Goal setting conditions the prefrontal cortex to anticipate fear, providing organization that helps the brain to avoid chaos. By setting the goal of remaining underwater, the recruits essentially pre program the prefrontal cortex to anticipate and override the fear signals from the amygdala. Part 2: Mental rehearsal, visualization. Continuous mental rehearsal and visualization makes the actual event more anticipated and less frightening, again reducing the likelihood of chaos and fear. Part 3: Self talk. The Navy teaches SEAL recruits to focus on positive thoughts to help override the amygdala's automatic responses. Self talk constantly reinforces positive thoughts and blocks negative thoughts. Examples of self talk might be: I can do this is only a test, or I need to pass this test. Part 4: Arousal control. The training on arousal control focuses on breathing, using deep inhales and long exhales to remain calm under pressure. The combination of all four approaches, that's goal setting, mental visualization, self talk, and arousal control, provides a tested and proven method to reduce fear. Why is this important for you to know? We all face fear: the fear of going on a job interview, starting a new job, or starting a new business. Using the above techniques can allow you to overcome your fears and meet life's challenges more calmly and more effectively. So, part one was goal setting. Part two was mental rehearsal or visualization. Part three was self talk. And part four was arousal control. So, that is part of the book we're reading. George J. Chanos, Millennial Samurai, Book One, a mindset for the 21st century. Hopefully, we learn the right things to do out of these books, because knowing the right things to do is your wisdom, and then taking the action as which is magic. Action is magic, according to George J. Chanos. So you have your wisdom, which is what the right thing to do is for you, yourself, mankind, you, yourself, mankind, or mankind first, you, yourself last, or animals, environment. Look at Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall had to what she did over the years was she visited chimpanzee laboratories. She also knew of chimpanzees in the wild. She went up to this one chimpanzee, and she thought of all the people that there was one chimpanzee that was in a cage since 1944, and she saw it in I don't know what year, but that's a long time. And she never forgot, and it made her decide to help. And environmental turns out that the environment was being taken into poverty regions where there was no water, there was no education. There, she said, in order to help the chimpanzees, you have to help the people around them. So I think if we live with animals in our wilds, and we need those forests to live, to survive, we need to be consciously aware of ourselves, our mankind, and also all flora and fauna. What do you know? Okay, back to the book. We are reading chapter 104 on failure. Robert F. Kennedy, former United States Senator, Democrat of New York, and former United States Attorney General. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever hope to achieve greatly. Ooh. From an early age, we are taught to fear failure. The truth is that failure is often a natural consequence of action and innovation. You need to work tirelessly, persist, pivot, and persevere, but never fear failure. Failure can be the greatest thing in our lives, says Steve Jobs, co founder of Apple Incorporated. You need to see each failure as a learning experience, analyze your failures, learn from them, and make appropriate adjustments. Many of the most successful people in history have had to overcome multiple failures. I've had to overcome failures of failing out of school and eventually not having any support monetarily and going homeless and living out of my car and knowing the right things to do there. I never got into any of the mercantile commerce or service commerce, if you know what I'm saying. And I never drank alcohol, and I drove a car. I was lucky enough to have a car. There are almost a million types of homelessness. So that's failure. Failure to have a self sufficient life. I had to deal with that and I had to overcome it. It was really hard, but I did it. And you can't do it without other people's help and cooperation either. If they hadn't had the services that HUD has, I wouldn't be housed here. So anyway, just to let you know, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination and was fired from the newspaper where he worked. Thomas Edison is said to have failed 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey was told that she was unfit for TV. All these people have at least three things in common. They had the courage to reach for success, they failed and they persevered until they achieved success. Failure is an integral part of the learning process. Failure is an integral part of the learning process. I would not have learned how to be a person if I hadn't gone homeless. The reason is that I had to talk to people. All of a sudden, Miss Two Shoes, a nerd in school, had to the wear the four eyes, glasses, and everything. Computer girl, car girl. I was a car girl. I was a car girl. In other words, I drove a car. And I shouldn't say woman. I shouldn't say girl. Woman. I was a I was a really reclusive woman before. And so I came out and learned to talk to people and learned to get them to like me enough to help me. There we go. There. Back to the book. It gives us valuable feedback. Failure is an integral part of the learning process. It gives us valuable feedback on what we need to work on next. If you're not failing, you're not trying. You're not reaching and you're not growing. In everything you do, every time you have the courage to try something new, you will either succeed or you will fail. In each case, you will learn from the experience. Both add value to your life, but failure is by far the better teacher because we're trying to avoid it. Remember how humans are we take more action to avoid negative stuff than to create positive stuff. Action. George J. Chanos says, "It doesn't matter how many times you fail. What matters is your dedication and commitment to success. See each failure as an opportunity to learn, make adjustments, and keep trying. Failure is an important part of your foundational strength that you can build upon. Failure shows us our capacity for resilience, our power to overcome obstacles, and our ability to endure. It evidences our core strength, and that strength should be used as a source of pride and inspiration. The more we fail and persevere, the stronger we become." That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Quote. End quote. That's by Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche, German philosopher. He was German. Friedrich, Fredrick, Wilhelm, Wilhelm, Nietzsche, Nietzsche. Okay. Use your failure to your advantage. Build upon the strength and the lessons that it provides. In Morsels of a Thought of Wisdom, I aim to bring you wisdom that is the right thing to do, and you have to take the magic action because I can't make you do anything. I can make you see something on this video, but for me, 1,800 times. Look at this. How many people are here? 0 today. Look at that. But that means that I will have viewers that watch the replay. And over here, I think, right? On the right, let's see, left. On the left side, there is a red timer, but if it's not there, then you're seeing a replay. You're watching me on a replay. So in my case, I have failed to bring something to somebody live 1,800 times almost, or not. In other words, John Clark watches me, replay or not, or live. He watches every single episode. So John Clark has become a whole different person from the first person that he must have been. It's what I would expect, but I wouldn't know unless he tells me, hopefully, actually, and taking hopefully, oh dear, hopefully, God, oh my God, it's supposed to be a C. There we go. Okay, I'm trying to press this. Back. Am I back? Yes, I'm back. Oh, dead air. That is just so unwanted. On Morsels of a Thought, I've come here 1,800 consecutive days. In my wisdom, I know that persistence eventually gets you something, whereas no persistence gets you nothing. So, my morsels of a thought are to continue to read and bring wisdom to people that they would like, and hopefully, you have learned something here. I started out with Duck Vong's videos, DUC, and then the last name is spelled VUONG. I was given a feed and on YouTube it said that you might be interested in this. And I started to watch, and he challenged me or us to start a video stream 30 days in a row. I did the 30 days in a row, and guess what? I'm here. And John Clark is part of that group, was part of that group. We were all looking for health and wealth and happiness, but we were all dealing with our health. And John Clark has been persistent and watched me every day. That's nice. Thank you, I guess. Anyway, and happy birthday. I'm so sorry I missed your birthday yesterday, day before yesterday. Oh my goodness. I would have wanted to say happy birthday and go, yay! It's his birthday. But I don't know. He must be as old as a dinosaur now because somebody used to say happy birthday to him every day. You know. Anyway, we all make mistakes. Mistakes is chapter 105. We lack the ability to be error free, but we can try to do what is right, and it is by constantly trying that we build. Over time, we build our characters and our reputations. Having great character does not require that you never make mistakes. If it did, no one could be said to have a great character, to have great character. Instead, it requires that you work hard to avoid mistakes and make good choices. Each person that you deal with will judge you based on based upon his or her own personal standards. Some may require less of you, others may require more. Good morning, J.R. Taylor. Your character and your reputation will constantly be assessed by others based on your words and your deeds. Your mistakes will be evaluated based upon their nature and your intent. Innocent and trivial mistakes may offer some insight into your character, but are unlikely to significantly impact your reputation unless they are ongoing. More significant mistakes or errors in judgment, especially those that are intentional, can say a great deal about your character and can have profoundly negative impact on your reputation. There is a saying, not by Chanos, but there is a saying that it takes 30 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. Be careful of your reputation. That's what I would say. I would suggest that. Mr. Chanos says, in the final analysis, you can't control what others think. So you shouldn't allow yourself to be defined by the standards of others. Be defined by your own values, your own standards, and your own sense of character. Have high standards and demand more of yourself. We all make mistakes. We're going to go through part of this part because we have more. We all make mistakes. People with great character. My mistake was to talk too much and not be able to get through this part. We're gonna have to do that next Saturday. Yay, yay. Because we only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, I think. We all make mistakes. People with great character simply make fewer of them. Their mistakes are also normally unintentional and less significant. Given that you are bound to make certain mistakes in your life, it is important that you know what to do when it happens. Having great character requires that you admit your mistakes. In other words, for example, I'll stop right here for the book. I one time I used to do a food distribution and I was in charge of who came in, when they got the food, what number they were. I had people picking out numbers. They would sign up. Sometimes in one day they signed up, and the order in which they signed up would be the order in which I allowed them into the room. Well, there was one woman who went around somebody and I grabbed something from her back. I said, "No, you cut in front of her. You can't do that." And she said, "Ow, you bent my finger. You, you watch out. I'll beat the Asian out of you." I think she said. But then I looked and somebody told me, no, she was supposed to be ahead of Nina. And Nina would somehow get in front of her. And so I had actually made a huge mistake. So I went up to her. When I saw her next, she was outside then a few days later. And I said to her, Mecca, I need you to know something. I made a mistake and I'm very sorry. I need you to know that I found out that you were supposed to be ahead of her, and I'm very sorry that I grabbed the eggs out of your hand. And she gave me the biggest hug. And I said to myself, that was good tea. Actually, virtue. That was the right thing to do. Nobody said it, but that was the right thing to do. And it created virtue. So I'm very happy that sometimes our lessons are really intense. Sometimes our lessons are really intense. Sometimes you have to, it would take a great character to admit that they had committed something like third-degree murder. You know, it would take a great character. It would just be so, I don't want to get into that. Synopsis of other people's life, morsels of a thought. 1800. Okay. Old Kinderhack.